Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished guests, inspiring speakers, and all participants of Future Ready Summit 2026. Well, my name is Jovita, and it is my pleasure to be your master of ceremony for today's session. On behalf of Hey Youth Indonesia, welcome to Future Ready Summit 2026, an online learning space designed to help us prepare for the rapidly changing world of work. This year's theme is What Makes You Irreplaceable in the AI Era? As artificial intelligence and digital technologies continue to transform the way we work, communicate, and create, one important question remains: what makes us valuable and irreplaceable as humans? Throughout this program, we will explore not only technological developments, but also the human capabilities that remain essential in the future of work, from communication and leadership to adaptability, creativity, critical thinking, and lifelong learning. So, we hope that today's session will not only give you new knowledge, but also encourage you to reflect on your own potential and how you can continue growing in this ever-changing world. Before we begin, allow me to share a few reminders to make sure today's session runs smoothly. First, please use your real name. Kindly rename your Zoom account using your full name so that our speakers, hosts, and fellow participants can identify you easily. Second, please turn on your camera whenever possible. Having our cameras on help create a more interactive and engaging learning environment. Third, please keep your microphone muted when you are not speaking. This will help us minimize background noise and make sure everyone can hear the speaker clearly. Fourth, please make sure you are in a comfortable and professional environment throughout the session. And lastly, don't hesitate to participate. You can use the chat box, raise your hand, and share your thoughts whenever the session allows. Oh, and one more thing. I would also like to remind all participants that throughout this program, you are required to share something you have learned from today's session on your Instagram story. Don't forget to tag LWU_ID as HeyYouth_ID and at Responsaibility. We would also like to give a special shout out to our amazing media partner, Learning with Us, Responsaibility, Qatar HR Forum, Student Executive Board of Polytechnic Aka Bogor, Student Executive Board of the Faculty of Law University of Surabaya, Intellectual Club of Public Relations, Student Senate of the Faculty of Communication Sciences, Pancasila University Student Association, Student Association of Technological Information of Brawijaya University, and Dakwah and Communication Radio State Islamic University Syarif Hidayatullah, Jakarta. Thank you for supporting and helping us spread the word about Future Ready Lab 2026. Before we begin, let's start this meaningful event by honoring our nation. I invite everyone to sing our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. I'm sorry, let me repeat it one more time because the last one we cannot hear the sound. Today, okay, now let me take a moment to introduce Hey Youth and learning with us and the journey that brought us here. To the operator, please help me to present the PPT. Hey Youth is a non-profit organization focused on education sector in Indonesia. We started by teaching underprivileged children in Sarimulia Village, South Tangerang, by recruiting young volunteer teachers on 15 October 2018. During COVID-19, we started to have online seminars by inviting guest speakers from all over the world. We believe that the young generation needs to get some inspiration from other young people who have achieved what they want to achieve, and self-development platform to unleash their potentials and prepare for Indonesia Golden Age in 2045. Our vision is becoming an international organization concerned about education, supporting the government to equate education to any social classes, and supporting Sustainable Development Goals 2030 number 4 quality education. And of course, our mission is to teaching mathematics, science, and English to children and teenagers every weekend. The second one, building book clubs to discuss our current read related to local and international issues and holding local and international seminars with Indonesian diaspora subject matter expertise, or international contributors. We have 25 guest speakers all around the world, such as Australia, Taiwan, Thailand, Germany, Singapore, China, England, Ukraine, Bangladesh, Japan, Ghana, South Africa, Malaysia, India, Qatar, United Kingdom, Belgium, New Zealand, United States, and Romania. And we also have local volunteers that from 22 provinces all over Indonesia. Our programs is to teaching online to elementary school students, organizing book club discussions, and even charity like collecting donations such as clothes, books, or even money and giving it to children who are in need. Our motto is the best kind of people are those who benefit others. And our media partners are Learning with Us, Responsaibility, BEM Eksekutif Mahasiswa IMAKA Bogor, International Club of Public Relations, Qatar HR Forum, and Dakwah and Communication Radio State Islamic University Syarif Hidayatullah, Jakarta. If you want to know more about Heyus, you can find Heyus on any platforms. And right now, I will tell you a bit more about Learning with Us. Okay, about Learning with Us. At Learning with Us, we empower individuals to achieve their personal and professional goals through high-quality, flexible online learning. Since 2017, we have been committed to delivering tailored education experiences that make a real impact. What began as private in-person English classes has evolved into a dynamic online platform in response to our learners' needs and changing world of work. For years, our primary focus was English education, helping students build the language skills essential for academic, professional, and international success. In 2019, we transitioned to a fully online model, enabling us to expand our reach and support more learners across diverse locations. Building on this strong foundation, we recently launched a new line of self-development programs covering essential skills such as leadership, negotiation, emotional intelligence, and personal effectiveness. These offerings are designed to help individuals grow holistically and thrive in today's fast-paced, ever-changing environment. Our courses are led by experienced instructors who blend industry knowledge with practical strategies. Whether you're looking to upskill your team or offer meaningful learning opportunities, Learning with Us is here to support your organization's growth. Learning with Us vision is to provide high-quality IELTS and TOEFL preparations that helps learners succeed in global education and careers. To deliver impactful training in leadership, negotiation, and emotional intelligence, empowering learners to lead and influence with confidence. To integrate language proficiency with personal developments, building well-rounded individuals who are ready for real-world challenges. To foster a growth-focused learning environment where students strengthen both their English skills and their inner potential, and to ensure accessible, practical, and personalized learning experiences that blend academic goals with lifelong personal skills. And our mission is to empower individuals to reach their full potential by mastering global communication and essential life skills to be the leading platform for English proficiency and professional and personal development, nurturing confident, capable, and future-ready individuals to unlock global opportunities through language mastery and transformative soft skill language, to create a generation of skilled communicators and emotionally intelligent leaders equipped for academic, professional, and personal success. Here is our courses. We have IELTS preparation programs, scholarship mentoring, English for public speaking, and even TOEFL ITP preparation. And also we have our ebooks like Scholarship Database, British versus American English Differences, Belajar Bersama Grammar Club, and Grammar Inggris Tanpa Ribet. And then our special bootcamp. The first one is First Impressions, Foundational, Meetings and Speaking Up High Impact, Emails and Written Communication Essential, Feedback, Negotiation and Difficult Conversations Advanced, Presentations and Public Speaking Career Defining, Industry and Specialist English Specialized, Cross-Cultural Communication Global Readiness, Career Growth and Personal Branding Long-Term Impact, Job Exploration, and Job Interviews. And also we have been partnership with Responsaibility that provide AI Bootcamp, AI Landscape and Foundation from Engineering and LLM Mastery, AI for Real-World Use Cases, AI Pipelines and Agentic Systems, and Responsible AI. We have a special discount for all of you. We have 25% off for our special bootcamp. And also, learning with us is supported by experienced mentors, including Andini, a certified trainer and MA in Education and Technology graduate from UCL, who has experience teaching English and developing AI training programs. And also we have Rifki, an international coach with more than 24 years of experience in learning and development, organizational strategy, and business process improvement. Overall, learning with us combines English proficiency, communication skills, personal development, and future-ready competencies to help learners become more confident and prepare for academic professional for global opportunities. If you want to check out more of Learning with Us, you can find Learning with Us in every platform. I think that's a little introduction of Hey Youth and Learning with Us. And now, let's continue to officially begin our Future Ready Summit 2026. To start today's event, we would like to invite Ms. Andini, as founder of Hey Youth, to deliver the opening remarks. Please give her a warm welcome.
Okay, thank you so much, Jovita. Okay, so yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you're doing well this weekend, and it is such a pleasure actually to welcome you all to Future Ready Summit 2026 on behalf of Hey Youth Indonesia, Learning with Us, and of course Responsaibility, because all of them are the organizations that I founded and at the same time I lead as well. I would like to warmly welcome all speakers, participants, partners, interns, and also everyone joining us today. Thank you for being here. For me, this is a particularly meaningful moment because 8 years ago, I remember I founded HeyU with a simple belief that education can change the direction of someone's life. Over the years, I have had the privilege meeting thousands of people from different countries, different programs, different learning opportunities, and one thing I have learned is that people don't always need someone to tell them what their future should look like. Sometimes they simply need the access of opportunities. They need to find the right people they surround themselves with, and also a space where they can learn and discover their potential. And that is actually one of the reasons I decided to hold this Future Ready Summit, because the word we're preparing right now is actually incredibly changing very quickly. And artificial intelligence, or AI, is transforming the way we work, communicate, learn, and create. Some jobs are changing, new jobs are emerging, and skills that were valuable yesterday may not be enough for tomorrow. And I think it's completely normal to feel uncertain about that. We might ask ourselves, will AI replace me in the future? What skills should I learn? What do I do? Like, what sort of things that I need to do in order to stay relevant? And perhaps the biggest question is, what makes me irreplaceable in this AI era? So that is exactly what we want to highlight in this summit. But I don't believe that actually future ready means simply learning how to use the newest AI tools, because technology will continue to change. There will always be a newer tool, a newer platform, and a newer skill that we need to learn. Basically, what matters is whether we are able to keep learning and adapting at the same time. And while AI can help us become faster and more productive, there are things that remain deeply human, which is our ability to communicate, to lead, to think, to build relationships, to understand other people, to be creative, and to make meaningful decisions. So, for the next 2 days, we're going to explore much more than AI, of course. We'll talk about leadership, communication, English, careers, marketing, product development, HR, and the future of work. And we are incredibly fortunate to have guest speakers from 10 different countries. Can you imagine? Isn't it amazing? And professional, they have a lot of experiences in the industry that they were passionate about, and you can ask them, you can challenge the ideas, and most importantly is that you can apply the knowledge and the skills that they share with you in your own life. Because I hope that you don't leave the summit simply thinking, oh, that was an interesting session, but I hope that you leave this summit thinking, there is something I want to change, something I want to learn, or something I want to implement in my life that makes me irreplaceable in this AI era. And I also want to remind you that you don't need to have your entire future figured out today. Being future ready doesn't mean knowing exactly what your career will look like in the next 5 or 10 years from now. It means being curious enough to learn, humble enough to keep improving, and brave enough to adapt when the world changes. That is actually the spirit that we hope you create through this Future Ready Summit, a space where we can learn from one another, connect across different backgrounds, and prepare ourselves not only to survive the changes ahead, but to create opportunities for them. So 8 years ago, I started Hey Youth, and I do believe that education should create opportunities for every individual. And today I'm actually very happy to see that idea continue through this collaboration between Hey Youth, Learning with Us, Responsaibility, and all of our media partners, and of course, amazing guest speakers. So once again, welcome to Future Ready Summit. I hope you enjoy the sessions, learn something new, meet inspiring people, and perhaps even discover a new possibility for your future. And when you leave this summit, again, I hope you take one question with you. In a world where AI is becoming more capable every single day, what kind of human do I want to become? Because perhaps the future doesn't belong to those who can compete with AI. Perhaps it belongs to those who know how to work with it, learn from it, and still bring something uniquely human that is irreplaceable. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Future Ready Summit. Let's learn, connect, and build the future together. And let's make this world a better place to live. Enjoy the summit. Thank you. Back to you, Jovita.
Thank you so much, Miss Andini, for your inspiring opening remarks. As you mentioned before, education can change direction of someone's life. So we are all here to continue education even we all come from different backgrounds. So without any further ado, I think all of the participants here are very excited to join the first session. And the first session will lead by my cool friend, Karen. So Karen, the time is yours.
Well, that was a wonderful introduction by Jovita and Miss Andini. I am Karen, your host for the session, and I am pleased to invite Mr. Rifki Zamzam as our speaker for today's first session. And before we continue with our talk show, let me give a bit of an introduction to our amazing speaker today. Now, Mr. Zamzam is a consultant for Generate.com, an AI strategy company who has delivered to Samsung, Red Bull, JP Morgan in the UK, and in Qatar. A consultant for Russell Blue, a UK company with an executive placement company, and a consultant for recruitment for CIPD, CMI, and CIPS. And also, of course, with the experience of 26 years of experience in human resource and L&D, successfully delivered the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 and is responsible for setting up multiple training academies in corporates. Please welcome Pak Rifki Zamzam.
Hi, thank you very much. And it's great to see the Hey Youth team again, great to collaborate again. Just to do a check, am I audible to everyone?
Yes, yes. May
Okay.
the operator pin Pak Rifki and I in the screen?
And thank you very much, Ka Andini, for the invitation, and Ka Karin. So glad to see you again. I think this is the second time you and I are on the screen, and it's so exciting.
Okay. So shall we begin with the first question then? Okay, there
Yes,
we
we
go.
can.
There we go. Okay. Now, Mr. Rifki, you have built your career across different industries, countries, organizations, from Shell Solar to FIFA World Cup. And we are curious to know what have these experiences taught you about what makes people successful in their careers?
I think it's a great start. Thank you very much for that question. And well, I'd like to thank all the audiences for being here. I should have said that at the first. So throughout, I mean, my work life from North Sales to Shell onwards, um, the evolution, the investment that we had on people, and the ability of all the generations that came across for them to learn and for them to grow. I think that has been the biggest win. So experiences teach you, experiences make you humble, it gives you a lesson. So one thing that it's important to remember is that for you to try it for the first time, and I was very fortunate that ever since my first job with North Sales and then I moved on to Shell, um, the culture was try it first. If you make a mistake, let us know. So there was like a modeling concept where you can try and where you can grow from that point. So they were that was a culture that was always looking for ideas.
That is a thoughtful answer, Mr. Rifki. Now, if we may follow up, looking back, what qualities have constantly appeared in high-performing individuals?
The ability to learn and the ability to transfer knowledge from different areas. Like for example, my career started off in production, making yacht sails and boat sails for large, 300-meter yachts and all of that. And the skills that I learned from that, like the basic organizing, I transferred it onto health and safety and onto HR and onto business process and audit and all of that. So that ability to find the code and transfer skills. And I also have a lot of people I worked with who moved from engineering to finance, from engineering to HR, from IT to HR, who are able to make sense of so many things and then bring in their insights. So this is what I've seen: our ability to draw beyond the boundaries, not to stick to the square that we are in. Think outside the box, evolve as we go, and the attitude, of course, the attitude really plays a part.
Okay, that is a very insightful answer. So, if I may conclude, it is the ability to transfer knowledge from one field to another, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now let's move on to the next question that is, as we know, AI is changing how companies operate, hire, and
Mm.
develop talent. From your perspective as a people and culture leader, how will AI
Mm.
transform the future of the workplace?
Um, that's a good one. I've done about three podcasts on this very subject. I'm sure I think the operator might share it for the rest of the audience online. So it's at a very detailed areas. So AI is a tool. Let's recognize it as a tool. It is there to make our lives easier. And I think what Kandini said was instead of looking at it as a competition that could replace us, look at it as something that you could learn from. Like, if you look at all the systems that I've used, like all these ERP systems from SAP to Oracle, these systems they make life easier. But then what AI does is it does things for you, it does the research for you, it produces things for you. But at the same time, um, if you don't learn, if you don't see AI as a tool and be resourceful with it, you could be replaced very, very easy. Like any job can be replaced. So learn what it is, but remember that your skills that you learn from all these years, from school to university to your first job to what you are now, use those skills and see what AI can do things that are a lot faster than how you can process. Does that answer your question?
That is a very valid point to make. Now, with that answer, the follow up is that which job or task are most likely to change, and what opportunities can AI create for employees?
I start with the task that can be replaced. I think the mundane task, the repetitive task, AI can definitely change. So if I go back to the company I'm consulting with, Generate UK, it implements AI systems, not the Chat GPT and stuff like that, but actual like fully fledged AI systems. It reduces cost because as a business you need to understand the company um, looks at productivity, looks at quicker ways of doing things because the clients and the customers demand quicker service, better quality, low cost. So operational efficiency is what companies look for. So when you look at it from that angle, the tasks that can be automated, the tasks that can be um, that are repetitive. Like for example, you don't need a stenographer anymore. You don't need someone to type meeting minutes for you. Gemini can do that. Copilot can do it, and all these meeting takers on Zoom and on Teams, they can do it for you. You don't need proofreaders. You don't need translators. Well, you do need translators. Certain jobs in HR, certain jobs in finance, you may not need it. Like, for example, even coding has become AI driven. Like Google has classes where you can learn Note LM, you can learn large language models, different data types. You can, learn all these courses. It has become so easy to learn. So even being a trainer, it has made our lives easier. I wouldn't say that it has replaced trainers, but most of the learnings have become very, very interesting. It has given the flexibility for you to learn. So these are some of the jobs which I think AI has taken over. So the obvious ones are the ones that are repetitive, the ones that are mundane. You don't need a desk clerk. You have technology to do that for you.
Okay, that is a very strong point to make. Now let's move on to the third question. That is, many people worry that AI will replace their jobs. Picking up from where we left, based
Mm.
on your experience developing thousands of employees, what makes someone valuable and especially difficult to respect? Because it is one thing to hire a person, but it is another thing to replace them with an entirely new team or an entirely new talent.
Mm. Um, can you repeat the question if you don't mind? Because I actually got into a thought when you were speaking,
Okay.
and then I just want to make sure that I'm on the right track before I answer. So
Okay.
sorry.
Based on your experience developing
Mm.
thousands of employees, what makes someone valuable and difficult to replace?
Okay. It's performance, that's number one. Um, in companies, we look for people, or rather, we pay people to think, we pay people to come up with solutions and come up with ideas. These are the ones that are really, really difficult to replace. Because even if you look at AI, even if you look at any form of technology, it's written by human beings in the first place. For me, if I want to retain someone, I look at performance. I set objectives right at the beginning of the year, and I get people to perform. So if they are above a certain point scale, yes, they are worth retaining. And the attitude matters, your attitude to evolve. So going back to my first answer, transferable skills come in if your attitude is right. If there is someone who gets, who becomes, if trepidation sets in, you become scared because of AI and because of so many things that come in your life, it hinders your progress. There is this very popular, what do you call, Indonesian saying, when something comes across, we say apaya, which means what is it? Anything that you face, that apaya really, really matters because that shows what is it. That's the start of learning. Anything that you put across. I see it as somebody who can learn, somebody who wants to figure things out. That's the person I want to keep.
Okay. Now, coming from that apaya, we are wondering, is technical knowledge enough nowadays? Because of course there's this um changing and evolving world,
Mm.
and we still do need human interactions and of course people. But the real question is the technical knowledge enough? And what qualities make someone stand out in an organization in that matter?
It's a brilliant question. Um, Technical knowledge alone is not enough, all right? So let's say, for example, if you go for an interview, or if I go for an interview, what do? We basically sell ourselves, isn't it? So being multi-skilled really matters. Being your ability to convince, ability to sell, regardless of your profession, matters. So let's say, Karin, if you are let's say you're an engineer, you're a civil engineer by profession, right? If a large organization, if Hitachi wants to hire you, right, you would need to convince them as to why they should hire you out of 1,000 people at the interview. So you should be able to sell yourself. Um, in leadership development, there's a model. I think I spoke about this in your program in 2024 Hey Youth program. So as you grow in progress, as you start, progressing one level to the other, um, your technical knowledge will take you to a certain extent. Your technical knowledge, the application of it, will give you the experience. Like, everything doesn't go by the book. You have different cultures, different thoughts, different processes, different technologies, different patterns of working, like from the Middle East to the Far East. Style of working is very different. This will add value and it will take you up. But then as you become senior management, your technical knowledge is not, um, doesn't become a tactical advantage anymore. It doesn't become an operational job anymore. It becomes a very strategic role. So your technical knowledge is important so that you know what is real and what is not. So I'm technically an HR person, but then sitting in consultancy positions, sitting in leadership positions, if a client asks me to evaluate, CVs for leadership, I can tell which one is right, which one is not right, even from the design of the CV without going through half the page. It's very, very easy to figure it out because the technology allows you to filter it very quickly. It becomes second nature, tacit knowledge.
That is a wonderful answer, Paruki. Now, move on to the next part. Companies today can access
Mm,
technology, information, and AI tools more easily than ever
mm.
before. This environment, what human skills become the biggest competitive advantage?
I think the creativity, the ideas.
Okay.
Um, so I want to. I spoke about HR governance. I think in my first podcast on AI and learning. You may have heard there was one large international organization that sent a client report straight out of ChatGPT. Yeah. So AI is a tool to make things easy for you. So your creativity, your ideas must be drafted first. Like for example, I prepare course content. I prepare lessons for corporates um, based on what the object is, what the business wants to achieve. But I use ChatGPT to refine it, not to create it for me, because I don't want a computer system to create it. I want it to refine it. It generates research easier, but you cannot use it to do things for you, or you should not. Like, for example, if I hire someone, let's say for marketing, and if the person just gives me chat GPT, advertisements, I don't need that person. I can do it myself. So ideas have to come from you, and AI has to be used as a tool to to refine things, to make things better, to write things more professionally. So your ideas, your objectives, concepts, everything has to come from the human being.
Okay, so if I may conclude from the point that you
Mm.
make, is that AI is to help you to navigate through your thinking and not telling you what you should think. Am I getting that correct?
Um, yes, in putting it simply, it should not dictate what you should be thinking. You should be thinking and
Okay,
telling you how it for it to reform.
okay, okay. Now, from there, which three skills should every student and professional start developing today? And why do
Um,
these skills matter?
well, the first thing everyone should do is regard to, right? I'm sure a lot of the other people in the audience know that AI is never 100% accurate, and it doesn't do what you want to do whenever you give it instructions. So, number one, get familiar, learn what it is, use it to your convenience. Everyone now has a smartphone. They can tell Google Bixby or Google Help, or I use Apple. I tell Siri to get things for me, set a timer, make notes, send a WhatsApp. Use it because it's going to save you a lot of time. Okay. The second skill is learn different industries, different specialities. Right. There is no harm in learning about accounting and finance because money management is a skill that we all need. Okay. Learn how to speak in public because you need to see which skills allow you to stand out on your own. Um, be multi-skilled as much as you can. So just because you are a doctor or a surgeon doesn't mean that you can that you cannot be a marketing expert. A year ago, I think one of the students from, I wasn't sure whether it was which university, but he was an engineering student in Jakarta. He spoke to me and he said, "Look, I'm graduating in civil engineering next year, in architecture next year. You know, is this enough for me? You know, and I want to get into graphics design. I want to get into marketing. You know, with a degree in this. You know, because my interests are different. So how do I do this?" So I said, "Well, the qualification gives you some, okay, but then marketing and designing, these are creativity. This is what sells. For example, if I am working for a large construction company, and if I want to hire a marketing person, I want industry expertise so that that marketing person knows what kind of creativity, what kind of commercial, what kind of graphics is important or relevant to a construction company. That helps. The relevance comes in. It bridges very, very easily.
Okay, now moving on from relevance to what actually matters. Many people focus on learning technical skills and AI
Mm,
tools.
mm, mm,
However, employers often talk about communication, emotional
mm,
intelligence, and
mm.
leadership. Why are these human skills are becoming more and more important and more relevant on that note?
Um, it is relevant because it's called progress. It's called evolution. Technical skills are very, very important to learn even at a later stage, right? Now you look at AI. AI is, AI has come in around, around 10, 15 years ago, I think almost 20 years ago, it started, started coming up with big data. At that time we were all, using, Mood and Hadoop and all those things to analyze big data. It became AI, large language models came in. So it has become easier for us to learn coding, how to create an app. There are AI applications which can do it. Like I said, Google has courses. So it's important for you to become familiar. Even for me, if I'm to come to an event like this or go to a conference in Qatar and start speaking, I need to know what I'm talking about. So which means I need to immerse myself in that technical knowledge. Other skills like leadership or team management or creative skills or business skills, presentation skills, my experience alone is not enough. Yeah, I've worked for 26 years. I've done lectures for ABE UK. I've done lectures for Injas Qatar, and I've spoken with, with the Ministry of Human Resources in Indonesia. It's not enough because I need to see what has evolved, what has changed, how I can manage people from different cultures, how I can um, guide people, because you can't select who you lead. Like in FIFA World Cup, one thing I realized is I had colleagues who were 15 years older than me, and I had to lead them. Can I lead them the same way I lead the ones who are younger than me or who have different set of qualifications? No. So 121 team members were in my department, and each one had a very different style. You need to learn about creating cultures, speaking to people differently, their languages, their models. People become defense. When I moved to Indonesia in 2017, my first thing I learned is the language, how people work, how they greet, how they eat. What does the city look like? It's very, very important. It's a constant learning.
So, if I may conclude from the point that you made, it's to identify what is working, what is missing, and what we need add more of. Now, coming from that, can you share a real workplace example where these skills made a difference?
Um, it's a very easy answer to give. So I'm just trying to figure out as to the most relevant one. Um, like for example, when I wanted to um, set up the entire organization, the training department for FIFA World Cup Qatar. It has never been done before. The complexity of having 8 stadiums, 20 odd matches per day. Sorry, initially it was around 16 matches per day or 18 matches per day. That complexity was never done before, even by the consultants who were involved around the world. So it was all brand new. So we set a criteria. So the common goal was Qatar National Vision 2030. And we worked our way backwards as to how do we have a legacy and what kind of people we need. So we worked our way backwards. We set a criteria. So in that criteria, what we needed for trainers, what we needed for team leaders, for leadership. And everyone whom we interviewed, they had to fit into that criteria. Attitude was key. One of the biggest measurements that we put in, it's very difficult to put a measurement on attitude, is the person with the right attitude, with the skill set, with the basic skill set that we need, which was the criteria. And we had a lot of people failing. It was becoming a very questionable situation for me. People were asking, you interviewed 300, you've got 20 people, and you need to hire 121. So it's important to stick to that criteria. But then, even after that, the 121, they were not confirmed. So they had to be trained and they have to pass an assessment. So quality is key. A standard is very, very important. So you need to work your way backwards. If you want to figure out what the standard is, identify the objective, set the objectives with a long-term goal. Keep asking why. How does it achieve? How does it meet the criteria? Kakarin, I have a tendency to give very long answers, so you need to keep me on track. Do let me know if I moved away, because it's the challenges I have is for me to streamline an answer very specific to this. So pardon me. Mohan Mahaf.
It's okay, Mr. Figi. We have a it's our pleasure to have you here. Now, picking up from that point where you said that keep asking why. Now, adaptability is often described as one of the most important skills in our future workplace. Why do
Mm.
some people adapt faster than others? And why are they facing change? Can adaptability be developed? And can it, what daily behaviors show that someone is adaptable?
It's attitude. Attitude is key. Attitude is what makes life easier for you, right? All of us are from different walks of life. Our attitude is most likely decided by what we've been through in our past. Some who had a very unfortunate upbringing, they tend to give in. Their attitude becomes a lot more rigid, less adaptable. Some have a more adaptable attitude. Again, attitude is a perception matter. So your ability to learn and that attitude that, I'm a go-getter, I'm going to survive. I've seen a lot of people who have had a very unfortunate upbringing, who's been served a cruel hand, let's put it that way. Those people have been quite determined in making things right, in making sure that what they've been through is not going to be their future. So they have been on this survivor mode, evolved onto a warrior mode, which has allowed them to learn, allowed them to be street smart, allowed them to get the job done, stay focused. That has taken them forward. And I think this also answers one of the earlier questions which you asked, what kind of people do we, are irreplaceable? It's this kind.
Now, picking up from that unfortunate upbringing, considering our workplace is changing. If you are hiring fresh graduate today for an organization entering the AI era, what qualities would make you choose one candidate over the other?
Well, first will be the criteria, definitely. Second is their ability to communicate. So having knowledge is one thing, and your ability to speak up, ability to challenge, okay, not argue, but to challenge. So I have selected candidates who can challenge a concept, who has the courage and the guts to challenge the situation at an interview. I found them the most interesting. That they portray a very different vibe. So I think earlier I mentioned, you need to learn how to present, how to speak in public, you need to learn how to sell yourself. This is very, very important. Um, I have Look, in interviews, our judgment is never 100%. The CV will get you in through the door. Interview will assure that this person is around 50 to 60% definite. The remaining 40% is trial and error. The person, we see how the person performs. Either they make it or break it, within the probation period. But 60% is good enough. So there are assessments, psychometric assessment, cognitive assessments, which we do. But at the initial interview, um, the attitude matters, how you portray matters, how you learn matter, um, how you communicate matters. Confidence is very, very essential.
Okay, that is a very interesting point to make. Again, we have very good pointers so far. Now, about that speaking up part, about
Mm.
that challenging idea part, what mistakes do young professionals commonly make when trying to impress an employer? And on that note, what makes someone memorable during recruitment?
Um, how do I put this? So from all the graduates I've interviewed, like many, many years ago, they don't speak up, right? We like a person who has a can-do attitude, right? I've had people straight out of school and some straight out of university. So when I put like different challenges, we put in, what we call curveball questions. They say, yes, of course we can do it. But when a person is a yes man, says yes to everything multiple times, that raises red flags. Okay. There was some candidates who are very honest and who are very blunt. Why do you need this? Why do you need me to do this? How is it relevant to the job? Now, those questions are like, okay, very interesting. That gets us thinking. Um, some candidates say, look, I don't know what it is. We didn't learn it in school, or I may not be able to communicate right now. But are you willing to teach me? That's their question. If you are willing to teach me, then I can definitely try doing it. And some of the questions we've asked is, why should I hire you? I think one of the candidates gave me the answer, well, you called me, which means you selected me for something, right? And we never expected that answer. So that made it very, very interesting. And this candidate knows how to put people in situations, how to get out of situations. And they even had the courage to ask, why am I called for this interview? If you are asking me this question, which is a good question, why am I selected?
Now, speaking on the part where people are asking questions, we are also asking assumptions. Now, many young
Mm,
people believe that collecting certificates is the best way to advance their careers. From your
mm.
experience in talent development, what creates real career growth beyond certificates?
That's actually one of the avenues. Collecting certificates, meaning like, you attend every single training program, but you need to retain that knowledge. Um, you very few people can retain 100% of that knowledge. So you need, if somebody is collecting certificates, somebody has a lot of qualifications, a lot of certificates from online courses, that tells me that person wants to learn, is evolving, that person is not wasting time, they're investing in themselves. Um, I mentioned attitude earlier. What are the skills that are important is um, the ability to try something, ability to evolve. Like, for example, if somebody wants to switch careers, um, my advice is switch careers when you're at your peak performance, which means if you're a salesman and, or a sales lady, and if you're achieving your targets, in the upper 90s range or 100% or 110% range, if you want to switch career or, jump into finance or HR or, any other profession, do it at the peak so that when you move from one profession to the other, it doesn't look like that, that you've got some baggage, that you failed something and then you want to try your hand at something else. It doesn't look like that. So optics matter. Um, and then there are some people who find out that they are good at something else because something didn't work out. So it's not a negative. You just figure out that you're better at it in some other profession. Yeah. So you need to explain yourself as to why you moved, or make it very obvious that this is what it is. So how you communicate that matters.
Okay, okay, that is a very good and a striking point to make, Mr. Rifki. Now, the question about switching careers is that how important our curiosity, initiative, and learning ability is, and what behaviors demonstrate the potential. Because as you said, you advise people to switch careers at their peak, and we want to know what exactly demonstrate that potential for you to switch careers, maybe, or how can curiosity, initiative, and learning ability enhance that?
Okay, so let me clarify something. So if they want to switch careers, they should do it when they're at the peak of their current career, ideally. And if something doesn't work out in their current career, they can switch to another career. So how you communicate that matters. Like, for example, let's say if I'm a software engineer, and then I cannot grow beyond a certain point, and whatever I do does not seem to work. It becomes a little bit dead, right? So I switch into another job, like HR or creativity, or marketing, or into music or something. So that matters. A lot of the people, they come with that background. Um, to answer your question more precisely, I've mentioned that it's important for you to be multi-skilled. If you're good in one profession, you need to learn other professions also, other things as well. Creativity, graphics design, ideas. Like, for example, my podcast producer, she is a finance major, right? But she produces my podcast, which is broadcast everything from Japan to the Europe, the European countries. So your evolution, how you move, how you learn, um, how you learn multiple skills which either complement or completely different from one to the other. So take me for an example. My background is complete HR, and HR people are by the book on a lot of things. But then HR people now, or for the past 10 to 15 years, have to become salespeople. Like, you have to convince staff to do things. You have to convince management to do things. You need to convince the C-suite to get budget sign off. So you have to be multi-skilled. You have to know what the other departments are doing.
Okay, so if I'm hearing this correctly, you are asking us to be multifaceted. Now, speaking as multifaceted, as recruitment become more digital and AI assisted, how can candidates differentiate themselves beyond their resumes? And how important are personal branding, networking, and communication skills to those recruitment process? And how can students start doing before graduation?
Having a well-designed CV is key, right? So applicant tracking systems, or rather ATS systems, everything from Workday to Workable to Zoho, it has its own algorithm. So AI is never 100% perfect. Sometimes we lose good candidates because of the AI system. It looks for certain words, it looks for certain criteria, and it filters some good CVs, some average CVs. But it does a fantastic job. So, the ideal candidate we may have missed, we never know, because we get 1,000 plus per advertisement. All right. Um, Networking is very, very important. Being involved in extracurricular activities in school, in your university, is extremely important. So those who volunteer for an organization like HeyU, all the young blood that volunteers for this, it gives you exposure to meeting the guest speakers, exposure to interact with them, learn from them, understand them better, learn organizing skills, presentation skills. This puts you in the spotlight, right? Um, in my personal opinion, the new generation right now, they grew up with a phone, they grew up with social media. They post everything online, from dancing and singing to TikTok, on Snapchat and on Instagram. If that has been channeled correctly into presenting ideas and suggestions, you have a lot of very young influencers who are really making the mark. Show your skill, use it to advertise, use it to market, that matters.
Now, as we grow into this digitalizing world,
Mm,
we understand that you have played a key role in developing more than 7,000 drivers and
mm.
workforce members for FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. Now, what lessons from that experience can individuals apply when preparing themselves for future challenges? How did you identify the capabilities of people needed, and what separated successful performers from others?
Um, Capability development has what we call it has multiple ways of doing it. Because of the operations of FIFA World Cup, we went with the approach of the project objective. So that became the competency model. So we call it ground zero model, which means everyone has to learn this particular syllabus, this course in this angle, in this method, regardless of competency deficiencies each individual would be having. So 7,000 plus, right, almost 8,000 drivers for FIFA World Cup tournament transport. It was impossible for us to get each and everyone's training requirement. But because the project objective was one, that is to deliver the best World Cup, fantastic guest services, safe passenger transport, knowing the routes, knowing the bus, knowing the stadium, knowing the matches, all of that. We went with one objective, that is do whatever, to make it the best event. And you worked out the syllabus, the objectives backwards. We did a lot of trial and error testing with the trainers, and we had a lot of modeling in place. So yeah, that's what we started with. We didn't go with an individual analysis because the recruitment was taking care of that. Recruitment wanted somebody with least experience, who can drive left hand, who can speak English. Arabic would have been a plus, and somebody who has a good attitude to learn and who can drive a bus safely. So that made our life a lot easier.
Okay, that is a very good point to make. Now, speaking on that event, large scale projects require people to learn quickly, collaborate quickly, and perform under pressure, especially. What can young professionals learn from these environments, and how can someone develop the mindset of continuous improvement?
There's something called knowing doing. Have you heard of knowing doing? So you learn something in university, you learn something from a training program, or you learn something from an event like this. That knowledge becomes useless the moment you leave the classroom, unless
I see.
it
Yeah.
unless you apply it, or unless it is assessed later on. Like in university, the moment you leave the classroom, is that what you talk about? You're going to talk about lunch and what you're going to do over the weekend as students, right? The moment you start reminiscing, that is when you get close to an exam or you close to an assignment. So knowing doing is like when you walk out of training program, you need, we had the 70-20-10 principle. That is 10% classroom, 20% practical, and the remaining 70% on the job, which means as an organization, we have to make sure that we create opportunities for people to implement, to exercise what they learn in real life. Yeah. So that application adds value to your knowledge, adds value to your experience. And that lets us know as management, it lets us know whether the person has the knowledge and has the experience to both do it. That's why in recruitment advertisement, you find qualification and experience in this.
Okay, that is a very good point to make for um as we are heading closer to the end of the session. Bringing back to some of our first questions, as AI handles more routine tasks, what will define great leaders in the futures? And how would future leaders balance technology with human connection? Can someone demonstrate leadership before becoming a manager? That is the question we are asking.
Yeah, they can, and they have to, because see the fundamental mistake some organizations that I work for, that they have made in the past is, the moment they see a star performer, they promote them to a supervisor or a managerial grade. So the star performer was operationally fantastic, technically fantastic, but we have to train. We have an obligation to train the person in team management, in leadership, in being a coach, being a guide, in managing situations. Because the moment you step out, let's say you and I, we are working in the same level in HR or finance or something. If you get promoted, the moment you get promoted, you still carry on the operational work. When you become my manager, you can't do the operational work. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to delegate it to me, get me to do the work, coach me, train me, because there's a reason why you got promoted. So you have to show leadership. You have to show the ability. So when you say leadership, manager and a leader are two very, very different people. Manager is a title saying that, oh, you're the one who's managing things. You can't manage people. You have to lead people. Managing people was, 30, 40 years ago. It doesn't exist. It can't exist anymore. You have to lead, you have to guide people. You become a fantastic leader if your team can do much better when you're absent. So you have some leaders, some managers, when they take their vacation, 2 weeks, right? They're still on the phone, they're still on the email, even while they're on vacation, which means they have not done a fantastic job either in hiring or training their people, right? If their team can do well without them, that makes their life easy. This scares some leaders, to be very honest. They think, their bosses will see that, the junior staff member is doing much better, because this is a cultural issue, the corporate cultural issue. So it's important that you show that, you've trained your people to do better. You've trained your people to perform. But as a leader, like, for example, let's say, you have trained me, Kakarin, you have trained me to do something. If I make a mistake, you are ultimately responsible. So that is one of the leadership traits. They should be able to take the hits. Leadership is a very, very lonely position. It's the most judged position. It's the most envious position. So you need to know how to lead. That has to show from the beginning. There are some people who are much better in coercing quality, coercing productivity out of other people than doing it themselves. This is what we look for.
Okay. Um, we have a few more uh questions, and then we'll move to Q&A. Yeah. From what you've said earlier, there
Mm,
is this differentiation between a manager and a leader that is
mm,
beyond the title. It is about transforming people. Now, for
mm.
entrepreneurs, managers, and team leaders, how can they prepare their organizations for AI transformation while people are still learning and keeping up with this AI thing?
I think you touched upon this on the earlier question. I'm sorry, I couldn't answer.
Mm.
So as leaders, it is our responsibility to make sure that the organization evolves. So if you are the CEO or CFO of an organization, your C-suite, your top executive committee has a responsibility to make sure that the organization evolves, that the organization is in its future. So the constant study of productivity, workload, has to be built into the strategy, and the company has to invest in technology continuously. You can't just buy a SAP system and then say, okay, now we have the best system in the world. We don't have to do this anymore. No, you have to see what the next best one is, so that you become operationally successful, operationally efficient. You spend less and you get more. That's what's important, right? One of the biggest headcounts in India, the biggest things on the budget is the headcount in your organization. So a lot of the corporates, they are looking at systems on how to automate and how to make things easier, so that they reserve the additional headcount for expansion rather than workload. They're automating factories, they're automating a lot of things. So it's our responsibility to make sure that we bring in technology, we bring in a lot of modern practices to the organization to make sure that the organization is successful, not survive, but is successful for the next 100 years.
Okay, I think that is all for our talk show today. Let's move on straight to the Q&A session. If any guest or um, member have questions regarding the session, please send it to the chat in this meeting, and I'll read the questions for you, and we can go ahead um, to hear the answer from Pariki. Does
I think one of your members has links um, to different episodes of the podcast, which are relevant to some of the questions. I think if you can share it, it would help some of our audience members.
Oh, okay. Now, oh, there's a direct question, and I'll read it for the guest. And but if you can give us your answer, what advice would you give your younger self at the beginning of your career?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a very good one. I would say um, stop making excuses of why one person is tired, one person exhausted, worked for 10 hours or 12 hours and, and was looking for something, was looking to rest rather than engage in conversations which actually learn, which actually teach a person something. Um, like anyone, soon after we finish 9 hours or 10 hours of work, right? The next thing that we want is, go home, take a shower, have dinner, watch TV. And it's very, very difficult for us to um, meet up with someone and engage in a conversation for us to learn. So that is a message I would tell my younger self. If I ever can go back in time, find a way to learn, find a way to engage with people who can teach me something. I mean, I did at that time, but I wish I had done more of it. I think you're on mute.
Okay, that is a very wonderful answer, Bharati. As we reach the end of our session, and we also reach the end of the Q&A, there's also one last closing question, that is, since our summit theme is what makes you irreplaceable in the AI era, after decades of developing people in an organization, what is the one quality every person should develop to remain valuable in the future?
Um, well, let me tell you something right now. We are replaceable regardless of AI or not. Okay. See, when you work in your home country, you have your fellow nationals to compete with. There will always be someone who can think different, think better, do things better, has a different posture, different attitude than you, right? There's always competition inside the organization. AI just made that a lot more aggressive. But when you work as an expat outside of your comfort zone, when you work in a different country, you're competing against people of the world. So it's important to recognize and to accept that we are replaceable. We just have to be competitive. That's it. We just have to learn how to adapt. We just have to learn how to better use AI. We just have to learn how to use AI as a tool, because a lot of the people, um, They provide ChatGPT answers, ChatGPT CVs, AI-driven things which they have nothing to do with. And when you question them at interviews, they can't answer. Why? Because their CV was done entirely on an exaggerated scale using Copilot. Okay, so those who know how to use technology, AI, regardless of what it is, as a tool to refine their ideas, to refine their learning, to refine their knowledge, are the ones who become competitive. We are always replaceable. A company can do without us. That's the reason why the companies evolve. We have to evolve as well. We have to keep at it, keep learning, keep knowing.
Okay, but okay, since that is the last closing question for our session today, I am elated, and we are all elated to have you as our speaker for this session today. Now, as we reach the end, may I have some help from my operator to capture this photo session together? And I would like to invite everyone to turn on their camera and let's have a picture together.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you.
So, my dear operator, Wanda, we are ready whenever you are.
All right, so for the first session, for Mr. Vicky, you can take a documentation with the certificate, and I will count in 3, 2, 1. Wait. All right. And then for the next session, we'll have the documentation with the participants. So everyone, please open your camera because we're going to check the documentation. Okay, everyone can open the camera.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe I will start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, for slide 2, I will count in 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you so much. That's all.
Okay, since the photo session is done, and okay, since the photo session is done, we are elated once again to have you here, Parifki. That is indeed an insightful session for all of us, including myself. And after this, we are going to have a break and continue our second session at 7 o'clock Indonesian time. So for everyone, this is your time to have the break, and we'll see you around in the next session. Have a great evening, everyone.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. Take care. Bye. May I log off now?
Yes, you may, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.